even worse. What's it? Capone? Or yeah. Hey, so when we go on, Capone.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
High
hey.
power.
All right. So when we, yeah, high power. Yeah. When we call back right now, we'll just kick this off and we'll just roll with it.
Okay.
I'll
All right.
figure
Then.
it out.
All right. All right.
Yep.
Then. All right. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I guess we're live. I hit the button a little bit too early. So right now we're waiting for Jesse and David, to call in, and we're gonna be doing a Sunday stream. I haven't been on for the last few days. I had to work. Was it Friday and Saturday, and I was off today. But I'm tired. I just got back not too long ago. I was helping my wife's sister's dude. Recently we've been having some strong winds out here, and all the shingles like got ripped off his off of their roof and stuff. So today, they just got back from a trip, and today was my first day off. So in the last 2 days, so I went over there, to help him out, as much as I could. I'm not big on like hard labor and whatnot, but I was there, and at least to be able to at least hold down the material he was putting up, but he was nailing it in, because it looked like it was gonna rain today. All right, and there it is.
Esta es Global Telling.
This call is
Usted
now
tiene
being
una
recorded.
llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello.
Yeah. Hey, the phone just started messing up right now. So I want to give you fair warning.
All right then.
See what
Well, we'll go ahead and write it out as long as we can, and hope for the
Yep.
best. We never know. When these phone systems are gonna start giving us trouble. I know last week we kind of started off like that, and towards the end, I'm not sure if it was getting better or worse, but shit, we'll run it as long as we can, or
Yeah.
we'll write it on till the wheels fall off, right?
That's it. Yep. That's what it is, man. So you click us on. Are we hooked up to the metaverse? Are we Hey, can I even say that? Did I just get you got on copyright? I don't know what I can say these days. I don't want to get
That's it.
canceled. I don't want to
Yep.
get sued.
Now,
Like,
now we're going back to jail.
hey, congratulations, Jesse. You finally got granted parole. The good news is you're out of prison. The bad news is you're going to go right back because you owe a bunch of money.
Yeah.
We got
Going to
sued.
the feds for copyright
Yeah,
infringement.
you used the word metaverse. Yeah, you're done.
Hey man, and the
Hello?
feds, with the feds,
Oh, yeah.
it's a whole different beast, over there.
It is, but really,
Oh man, so we the audio just cut off. Hopefully you guys could hear me. And okay, we're
Yep.
back. We're back.
yeah, I could hear you. The thing is with the feds, right? Like we know people, Jesse and I. We know people that have been to the feds. I know lots of people that were up in the feds. And look, a cell is a cell. It's a whole different beast in a sense that there's the politics. The politics are probably they're I guess they run differently, but not necessarily, because politics are politics. Everywhere you get to in the prison system pretty much got its own little jive, its own little dynamic and whatnot. Especially the California prison system. It's a big ass system. There's a lot of different people in charge and various aspects. So yes, the way that it looks is different. They send you out farther out. That's different. But like I said, look, I was locked up in Mexico, and I figured it out. So people, at the end of the day, when they get that door locked behind them, guess what? It's all the same feeling.
Yeah,
You know what? But
prison's gonna
I
be prison.
think
Prison, you've seen one cell, you've seen them all.
I think when it comes
Yep,
to the feds,
absolutely.
and a disclaimer here, I've never been anywhere. I'm living in my mom's basement pretty much. But um, uh, I think when it comes to the feds, if you're in California, the politics are gonna be a lot stronger opposed to if you end up like in New York or North Carolina, Virginia, and places like that, because people start getting a little bit lazy, and not keeping the standards as they would if they were inside California.
Realistically, it probably all depends on organized crime. Whoever's in charge out there, whoever's got the power, that's
Yeah.
that's who dictates the politics, and that's just pretty much everywhere, you know.
Yeah, they
Um,
do it. They do it like tri-state setups in the feds in other regions. Like what they do is they group the states together. Like in the feds, it'll be California, Nevada, and Arizona. What I mean? Sometimes New Mexico slide in there, and then you have like Texas. Like they just do a region, like East Coast, West Coast. What I mean? The South, DC, the DC blacks.
Ooh,
Like they
be
what
careful.
happened? What happened?
Be careful with them DC blacks. I heard it's vicious out there. They're definitely with that
yeah, them
with
them
that butt
fools ain't
play.
playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, they'll definitely come through like a pirate.
Yeah, yeah.
Shiver me timbers.
Hey, they're about. Yeah, I guess they put in work differently.
Yeah, they putting in something.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
No, but they're crazy out there though. Them dudes are with that murder, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Like I was watching like this channel of this dude that I think he's like out in Virginia or something, or somewhere out east, and he was how last week I slipped in that question about the prison wallet and whatnot. He was saying that out there that you can't do that. That if you do something like that, if you're using your prison wallet like that, somebody will try to run up in you. That shit it's frowned upon, so depending on where you're at, some things are okay, some things are not. So I think things are everybody's mind or everybody's sense of what's okay, it's different depending on where you go.
That's it. That's pretty much everywhere. That's
Yeah.
just standard culture, enculturation.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. When you go to a place, right? Especially when you're in a place that you don't know, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn and you're gonna adapt, or you're gonna get eaten up.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Unfortunately for us in the California prison system, we understand violence. That was a recipe that worked in a very, very violent place. Is you got to be more violent. You got to have a willingness, a high propensity for violence, and that's what made us such animals in here. Because if the way that I was taught before, and it's not the same. It's not the same now. I look at things different. Because now in my life I'm not going to be going to places like that and getting locked up and things like that. But the old me that went by my old alias and whatnot, I would have went in. I would have kind of peeped everything out, seen how it was, found people from my region or whatnot. But behind the scenes, I would have already chopped my locker up. I would have chopped my locker up. I would have been like, all right, well, this is what it is. I see it. I see who's doing what, and I would have armed myself. Because they don't know. I don't know if they know that you can, you could cut up your locker or you can do anything like that, But that's the way we think, And we're like, all right, well, this is what it is. And the first time that I get challenged, I'm gonna try to take someone's head off, and they're gonna learn that I'm not the one. And but see, that was that old destructive thinking. That's the way that we were trained in here. We were trained like, okay, we come in as kids and they say, look, never let anybody punk you. You can't let anybody punk you. You gotta always represent, and even if we're not from around that area, you gotta represent your neighborhood. You gotta represent, the organization that you're affiliated with, especially if you were affiliated. And you gotta represent, and the way that you represent is through violence and through lethal violence. You gotta try to kill them, and they're gonna learn or they're not. But see, that's the problem, is that we had too much of that influence. In CDCR, they were breeding us to be freaking little madmen. They were putting us through militant workouts. They were putting us through like they were teaching us how to
Machiavellian mind training.
Yeah, they were teaching us how to play mind games, throw subliminals. They were teaching us how to look for weaknesses in security and prison security.
All right, so we went we lost the audio. It should be coming back. It's done it like once or twice already. From what from what they told me was that I guess the phone service on their end it's been hit and miss today. So it looks like
Yep.
GTL still hasn't got their act together. I could hear you again.
It's
You,
been it's been pretty hit and miss. Yeah, we heard you the whole time, but yeah, and so thank you for giving an update to the listeners. But yeah, that's what it is. That's what the prison system turned us into. Turned us into freaking maniacs.
Yeah.
And
And that's why this channel is so important, because it shows that redemption, it shows that turnaround. You know what I mean? Because if you never really were conditioned that way, then how much does your redemption story mean? You know, because if you didn't have to recover from much, then the reality of it is your story isn't as powerful. And that's 100% what Dave is saying. You know that this place bred the hopelessness. You know, it bred the savagery. It bred the chaos and the insanity.
And the crazy part is they gave us that to hang on to. They gave us that the more crazier that the crazier that we were, the more
validated us.
Yeah, the more validated that we were. We felt like we were actually somebody.
We were serving a legitimate cause.
Yeah.
We gave us a purpose.
They gave us a flag. They gave us a banner to represent. They nurtured us. They gave us things, so we didn't understand what it was at that time.
A warped perception.
It was a warped perception and a manipulation, because basically they were sitting fat, and we were hooking them up, and we were putting in work. But during those days, I suffered with the leaders. During those days, I spent time in the shoe, and I had to put in work, and I had to commit violence to get around, the gang leaders at that time, and I felt like I was a part of them, like I was a part of that. I was a part of that cause, that feeling of oppression, and that was deep, because they were more than willing to nurture that. Hey, you're a part of what we're doing now. We need you now. We call me mijo, and they made me feel like I was one of their kids. We need you now, mijo. A lot of people don't understand what it is to be back here, to feel this, and we're never going to be able to have the opportunity that you have. Therefore, homito, carnalito, te afran.
Mijito, carnalito, de afran.
We're gonna need you to take this out. Well, all right, cool. I'll just put it in my legal paperwork. Nah, it's too hot. It's too risky. Well, okay, cool. I could just fold it up and I'll put it somewhere safe. Well, Carlito, Carlito,
we're thinking something a little more permanent. A little more secreted.
Oh,
you ever heard of a prison wallet?
I can put it in my. I can put it in my mouth, right? I put it in my sauna. Like, well, okay, you're getting hotter.
Yeah, you're getting hotter. A little deeper, bud.
Yeah, think outside the box.
Yeah, or should I say, think in the box.
It was like, man, and the record skipped. Like, what? Wait, what?
What are you set?
Hey, you do what? Oh, hell no.
Yeah. Hey, it's funny that you say that, though, right? You still there, James?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure, because the phone's been going in and out. It's funny that you say that, Dave. Like, as far as the way the culture bred, the way that and I don't want to say they, I want to say us as well, because I even remember saying it was my responsibility.
We were part of the problem.
To pump the propaganda into the little homies, because I surrounded myself with the younger homies, with the younger camaradas, because to me, what you seen is what you got with them. They weren't corrupted by, they weren't close enough to the fire to be tainted yet. You know what I mean? And so I was just as much a part of that problem, as far as, promoting the propaganda and keeping the movement and the causa alive in order to continue to promote my interests, as well as, the rest of the people's, So it's funny that you say that, though, because there was a little moreno, a younger black dude a few weeks ago in CGA meeting, which is Criminals and Gang Members Anonymous. It's a 12-step program, but it focuses on gangs and criminality and the lifestyle of addiction versus drugs, and for those who don't know, and it basically just makes us responsible for our actions and accountable for our behavior. versus blaming the drugs, and it encompasses all addictions, And so, anyways, that's what that meeting was, and we were in it a few weeks ago, and some little dude from Compton, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he steps up and he's like, "Hey, man, think about it," because we're talking about how in here we tend to compartmentalize crime and have there's like a crime hierarchy, like some dudes walk around. I know I was one of them at one time, like, yeah, I'm here for murder.
Yep.
I'm not one of these slouches, because I felt it validated me. It made me tougher than the next man, and which is funny because I'm surrounded by murderers, But for some reason, I felt that my murder, made a difference, and which is kind of what this whole thing is built on, anyways. So we were talking about how people tend to look at the cats around here with sex crimes and this and that, and again, I know people in society compartmentalize the same way. Like nobody likes a sexual predator. That's just the reality. A deviant's a deviant. But the way I see it is like everybody has their own disease. I was an addict. I was a murderer. I was a gang member. I was addicted to power and control and substance abuse and any level of criminality, and so these dudes are, they have whatever their disease is. So anyways, the Moreno stands up and he's like, "Hey man," he goes, "don't you guys think it's
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Look at it like this, while we're looking around at these cats calling them weirdos and this, that, and the other thing because they preyed on some young kids or preyed on some..."
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
He said, "What do you think the older homies were doing to us when we were 12 and 13 years old and you had some 25, 30-year-old gang member, grooming you, grooming you and priming you and has you out there, basically destroying your life the same way a sexual predator destroys some kid's life or destroys some woman's life." He goes, "It's the same concept. Like
we
if you
idolize that person."
And we, and he goes, so let's look at it. And I swear, all these years I've been in recovery, and as strong as my recovery is, and all the different concepts I've developed. Go ahead.
It's gonna cut off, James. We'll give you a call back.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Back.
We'll be waiting. All right, so I want to go ahead and welcome Chubby Jessica. Thank you for dropping those comments right now. And as soon as I get a moment, I'll go ahead and read off your question here that you put in the chat. And anybody that's in the background, I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. As you can tell, like the audio's a bit it's a bit off over there on that side. But you know what? I'll take that audio any day, opposed to it sounding like we're underwater. So as long as it maintains like that, I'll definitely I'll definitely be happy. And here we go.
Esta es Global Telling.
This call is
Usted
now being
tiene una
recorded.
llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel-Link.
Hello.
Hey, James.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I was saying is he just brought it to light, about how the older homies were preying on the little homies, and stuff like that, and it literally, that shit blew my mind because I had never even considered it like that, and in all my recovery and all my, I was just kind of like, damn, and this is a younger dude, he's not, he's probably in his mid to late 20s, but he's a ex-gang member, a younger brother from Compton or somewhere out that way from LA.
Silas that said that?
No, it was a young brother. It's this dude right here. It was this. Right here, the one with the dreadlocks.
When did he say that? At AVP? I heard that.
No, I told you about it when I came back from from CGA. Yeah. And
all right. Yeah, I remember that. I remember you said that, and we were like, damn, mind blown.
Yeah, and it was mind blowing because like when you really think about it, it's the exact same thing. The way these predators destroy, kids' lives or destroys women's lives with their sexual deviance. If you really think about it, like, those of us who were recruiting young gang members and recruiting young kids and being recruited by older homies, like it's the same concept. Like these dudes were grooming us and destroying our lives. If there ever was a chance for us, the reality was, it was done once
Yeah.
once we ran into these
They're,
cats.
when they successfully groomed us, shit. What was the win for that? What was the success when we became gunslingers? Like, oh, that little youngster right there, I'm the one that brought him into the set, and look, he's over there murking motherfuckers, you know.
Yeah.
And that's it. Boom. He's like, that's gonna be a notch on his belt. Like, oh yeah, I brought that fool in. You know.
And you spend the rest of your life trying to live up to
His expectations.
yeah. Their expectations, the identity that they gave you, that they allowed you to adopt. You know, the gang, you know, the gang that you now are a part of, you know, and it's crazy, you know, like, so it was just a trip. I just thought that kind of was a good you know, addition to what you were saying, Dave, about you know, just how this place was grooming people, and it just, like I said, it blew me away to hear old boy say that, and I was like, man, I had never thought of that. I never thought of myself as a predator in that sense, by making sure that you know, that we still had little homies coming through, bringing, you know, like even as far back as like when you got a kid coming into the county jail for the very first time, 18 years old, and be like, what's up, little homie, you gonna go out and come back and bring some clavo in?
I remember the first time that I got into to write in
Corcoran,
in Sat F, you know, and it was on the 180, you know, and it was a real freaking real yard, you know. It was a real freaking yard, man. And I remember that when the homie like shook my hand after it was all done, and he was like, that's right, homie, that's right, you know, Carlito, and you know, and I swear, man, I felt so prideful. I felt like, man, you know, like I had got that recognition that I had always sought, you know. And this is in prison, you know. This is with the big boys, you know. This ain't no little juvenile hall shit. This ain't no, you know. And that gave me validation too. I'm not gonna lie, you know. But this was like a whole different level, you know. And when you know, that was like that one where I told you where they shake your hand and they give you like that crazy handshake where your hand just kind of comes in and locks, you know, and they're like, all right, Carlito, there's line. You know, I swear, man, I felt like a screeching eagle was going to fly overhead, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man, you know?
I made it.
Yeah, I really made it, you know? And it's crazy to watch because, like, it's so warped. What did you make it? Where did you make it, man? You're putting in work in prison. You're a scumbag.
Like that one listener said, you were trying to be somebody in a world of nobodies.
Yep. That statement right there has stayed with me a lot. I think about it often.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. It's crazy because that's one of the hardest things to get over now that I see things objectively. Like, it blows me away to think how blind I was for so long, you know. And like I said, I don't take nothing away from anybody that's still living that life and doing their shit, because I know what it is. You know what I mean? I can empathize with them because, you know, I know what it's like to be lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? But it's just crazy, the things that I know now, the way I see life, my paradigm, my perspective of the world. It's done like a whole 360. You know what I mean? Like, it's just completely turned around. You know, and it's a trip. You know what I mean? It's a trip to think that I lived in that ignorance for so long. You know, and it just trips me out. You know what I mean?
James, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, and you know what? I just want to go ahead and share with you guys, you know who just tapped in. So we got Chubby Jessica in here. She also dropped a question in here. I'll go ahead and read it off shortly. We also have Fishler SoCal. Saludos to all. And just a few moments ago, we got a blast from the past. We got LA Analista in here.
Analyst, LA Analyst, what's up?
Yeah, what's up?
We called in before too. Yeah, what's going on? Where's
she been at? She don't love us no more or what?
I'm not being analyzed.
Yeah, she's done analyzing us.
Yeah, but we stand ours. But yeah, that is a blast from the past.
For sure. I was wondering how come it's been a while since we've heard anything from LA Analyst, and for sure, definitely send ours to Fish Soul Cloud, and definitely Chubby Jessica, you know, thanks for being faithful to the channel, everybody. We appreciate you guys checking in. You know,
what's the question, James? What you got for us?
All right, so let me put it up here on the screen just in case anybody wants to follow along here. And Chubby Jessica puts Mexico's president said that a good way to fight violence is by telling on the criminals to their grandmas and moms. Would that strategy have worked on Jesse?
Oh, it's funny that you say that, right? Because the reality of it is, I'm going to give you a real life story that happened. So I shot my niece's boyfriend a long time ago on the streets, you know. And And it's funny because instead of them going to the cops, they actually went to my mom. You know, it was actually my grandmother who raised me, and literally that shit scared me more than anything. And I was like, man, why didn't you guys call the cops? What are you going to my mom for? You know what I mean? Like straight up, because she was so upset about the whole situation. You know what I mean? It's crazy because she's actually called me to get with this dude's program before, you know, and but the situation had nothing to do with my sobrina. I was over a drug deal on the streets, and he's a grown ass man. My niece was like 16, 17 at the time. So looking back on it, I should have been gunning for him, the fact that he was 30 years old messing with a 17-year-old girl. But so would it have worked for me? I don't know if it would have worked for me, but I definitely was more scared of my mom than I was the cops, that's for sure. And it wasn't so much about being scared of her because she was going to whoop on me or anything like that. I just didn't want to disappoint the only woman who I knew for a fact loved me, the only person who I ever felt in my life truly cared about me and truly, you know, loved me with all her heart. And so telling her definitely was definitely it had an effect on me when they did that time when it happened, you know. And it's funny, I don't know if I remember telling you guys this on the channel, but I had a shootout in front of her house one time. You know, me, Shane, TJ, all of us. Yeah, it was a crazy little thing with from my side of town. It was just all little crazy Mumbles, Jolene, and it was just a crazy little thing. Not a shootout. I started busting off. Shane smacked some food with the beer. It was a whole little crazy mess. Well, anyways,
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
My mom comes running out with the cordless phone because I have the gun at this dude's face and it's jammed. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, and I'm trying to get it, but I'm drunk as hell. We're all drunk. Yeah. And I'm trying to get it unjammed. And my mom's like, I'm calling the cops. She has a cordless phone in her hand. She doesn't call the cops, but they come back later on, and they end up shooting up the house, and they shot the neighbor's apartment, not ours. They didn't know where we came out from. So they shot the abandoned apartment next door. So it was a trip. So my mom tells me, if you ever do anything like that again, ever, this is after the whole thing with my niece's boyfriend, like she was just tired of the fact that I was just, you know, the way as loose as I was with the gun, you know. Yeah. And so she was just like, you know what, man? She goes, you ever do anything like that again? She goes, you're dead to me. You're dead to me, period. I hate it. I hate your ways, you know, like you know, like I didn't raise you to be a killer. I didn't raise you, like she's telling me all this stuff. And I remember at the time, I'm just like, you're tripping, Mom, you're tripping. So when I actually got busted for this murder, dog, I kid you not, bro. I get here from Arizona, and they call me like 2 days after I get to Indio County, to the jail in Indio from Arizona, and Shane's still over there in Arizona. He's still busted over there in Arizona. He hasn't come over here yet, and my mom pulls me out for visit, and I walk into the visiting room, and she sees me right there, and I look at her. She's got like a little smirk on her face, and I'm kind of like, you know, like tripping out. And I pick up the phone and I tell her, I go, what's up? You know, like, what's all this? If I ever shoot anybody again, that I'm dead to you, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, don't ever call you. Don't ever, you know, this and that. And I'll never forget it, dog. So she tells me right there and there. She starts crying. She's like, you know what I mean? She's like, you might be able to kill a man. She goes, but you'll never kill a mother's love. And she's like, I'm here with you. I'm here with you, like, until you get out. You know what I mean? She's like, you know, I know I told you that, but you were a kid when you committed that murder. They can't keep you in prison, because I was a juvenile. For those of you that don't know, I was 17 years old when I committed the murder that I'm in prison for right now. And so my mom had told me, she was just like, I know I told you that, because all that other stuff happened after the fact. Well, the time with my niece's boyfriend happened around the same time that I committed this murder, but the stuff with Shane happened after the fact. Yeah. And that's when she told me, you ever do anything like that again, you're dead to me. I hate your ways. They could have shot the kid where the kids were and this and that. So anyways, yeah, so when she comes into the visiting room, she tells me, she's like, you know, I look at her and I'm like, what's up, man? Like, you know, and I've told you guys before, my mother was my biggest enabler. You know what I mean? Like, I could do no wrong in her eyes. You know what I mean? And so when she comes, she just looks at me and she starts crying. I told her, what happened? I thought I was dead to you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in prison for murder and I'm never getting out. And she just, I'm in jail, you know, I'm for a murder that I committed, and I'm never getting out. And she just like, she started crying. She's like, you know what I mean? She's like, you may have killed a man. She goes, but you'll never be able to kill a mother's love. You know what I mean? And she goes, I'm gonna be here for, you know, with you to that you get out. You're gonna get out, and I know you're gonna get out. You were a juvenile. They can't keep you in there forever. And all this and then. She rode with me till she passed away. So back to Chubby Jessica's question, you know, like, would that have made a difference? I don't think so, because I was so far gone, you know what I mean? But the thought of I always tried to like half-ass. That's the one person I respected. That's the one person that I loved. But I could only respect her and love her the way I knew how. And it wasn't good. You know what I mean? Like, because look at all the crazy shit I put her through. And so if somebody would have went and told my mom, or my abuelita, you know what I mean? It probably would have just pushed me further away from them. Because I was so far gone already.
Yeah, and the thing is, we keep them out of the loop on those things.
Right.
Like they don't. You would have to know. Like, yeah, if somebody was like, "Oh, I just saw Jesse shoot somebody," and go and tell his mom. Like, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like that doesn't happen. That's not realistic.
Right.
Yeah, you can say, "Oh, I saw him out there and he was messing with them bad kids and all that," and they're gonna get on us. But if you can't monitor your kid, or if you're not willing to. Because you can keep an eye on your kid nowadays. You can track them on the phone. You can have, there's a lot of ways to keep track of them. Social media, talk to the schools. You can get resource officers involved. But you have to take the extra step.
Right.
You have to. You can't just go tell his mom, because guess what? What is she going to do? She's going to ground him. She's going to, what, at the end of the day, right? I would have got my ass kicked. I would have got grounded. I would have been, but I would have been put up on the shelf for a while, but eventually that didn't fix the problem that led me into gangs and to be a gunslinger anyway. That's not that all you're doing is putting a temporary band-aid on it. Okay, you got a kid. That's the wrong question to ask. The question to ask is, why is a 17-year-old kid committing murder?
Right.
Why did this kid feel like the only way that he can be somebody in his life was to take a man's life? That is a serious question that you have to ask this kid, and that's not going to...
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
You can't ask...
How did my need for acceptance supersede the value of human life?
Exactly. What's the issue here? And the parent should basically be asking, how did I fail you?
Yeah. No, but even and I want to say there, because in a lot of cases that's absolutely the case, right?
Yeah.
But the truth about it is, like with my grandmother, she was out of her league.
She went the but see, the thing is that people had failed you before she got
right. My parents,
had already failed you.
Right.
And so in the instance of a parent who's responsible.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
In the instance where a parent is responsible for their child, where they were directly involved in the trauma.
Right.
That's different. Your mom, your grandmother became your mother.
Right.
She was giving you everything that you needed, but it was a little too late.
Right.
And you needed more help. And they didn't know that, though. She wasn't qualified to ask those questions.
Right. She was the 80s, and
she was just trying to love you and be there for you, and that didn't work for kids like you were.
They were emotionally and mentally distraught.
Yeah, absolutely. We give you a call back, James. We got to do like one of those things where we'll be right back. We'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Man, if you guys remember hearing that, but don't remember exactly where you heard that, it would have to be back in the 80s, in the late 80s, early 90s, when we would wake up and watch cartoons on Saturday mornings, if I remember correctly, man. I remember, man, in those days, who was on? I think it was like G.I. Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I want to say that was maybe Channel 7 ABC. Oh, you're definitely welcome, Chubby Jessica. I appreciate you participating in the chat. 'Cause, and there we go again. Let me see here. All right.
This call is now being
Global
recorded.
Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you that right after these messages, we'll be right back. Was that Saturday morning cartoons?
You already know it.
It was.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yep.
That was a highlight of a kid's weekend.
That's it. We lost Jesse somewhere right after that.
Yeah. Right after those cartoons finishes,
right
after my life took a bad
after
turn.
Animaniacs went nuts.
I was more along the lines of Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Once Tom and Jerry, once the Looney Tunes was over, I was out there acting loony.
That was it. No, that's just a reality, man. And I was never really asked those questions when I was a kid. But I don't think, look, my mom and my dad, I was just my sick. Look, they did the best that they knew how to do at that time. That's what I feel. And they were there to, back in those days, it was the 80s. I was the 80s days. I was born in 81. Back in those days, they were trying to keep a roof over our head. And I had the things that I needed. I had a different upbringing than Jesse. But Jesse had the things he needed. His grandmother was his mom, and she supported him. But I had the things that I needed. I didn't go without. Yeah, there's things that I wanted, but I didn't have to go the path that I went down. I made choices I made bad decisions, and I feel though that, look, they would ask me, I got sent to therapy, I got sent to, I had to talk to a psychologist before and whatnot, but I wasn't trying to talk to these people. I didn't identify with these people. There would just be some stranger is going to sit there across the table from me and ask me, hey, well, why are you doing these things? Why are you getting in trouble? And yeah, they're pretty direct questions, but I didn't have no obligation to answer those questions. Who the hell is this guy? And then plus during that time, I didn't understand what was wrong with me. I can give them a general, description of my upbringing, but at the end of the day, how am I going to open up to these strangers? These aren't the people that I was looking up to at that time. I didn't look up to a middle-aged white guy with some big 80s glasses and a freaking afro perm. I wasn't I had no identification with this guy. It would have been different if I would have had somebody that I was more like aligned with. For instance, I looked up to older gang members. Those were the people that I looked up to. Now I understand we're not going to have an old gang member sitting behind the desk, but if there was people that are like Jesse and I now, well, we have the history. We have the history. We've made changes in our lives, and now we help people. If somebody like that was somebody that I thought was cool, somebody that I thought was knowledgeable about what I was really going through, it could have been different for me. And I think that's the mission that we're on. We want to use our history and our experience to save lives, to help people.
Hey,
we've taken human life. Now we want to help restore it. Yeah. Go ahead.
So, and I remember like being in camp or in the halls, they would have like these older dudes coming in, like these old pinteros coming in, and like they would tell you how you should change your life and like that you don't want to go down that path. But to me, it was like nobody was listening to those dudes. Like yeah, we heard, but nobody was ready to change their life at that moment. Because anytime that I hit the halls, for years, I never thought about it. I knew I was gonna come right back. Like I knew there was a seat ready or a bed ready for me every time that as soon as I got out, I was gonna probably end up coming back. It wasn't until years later, once I started, experiencing the county jail system, that I decided, I was like, man, this is serious. Like, I don't want nothing to do with this anymore. I'm out. Like this isn't fun. Like the halls or the camp anymore. Like these fools are like, it's really about violence. People are gonna get hurt. I remember this one time, I was in this dorm up in county, and they were talking about starting a riot. And I was like, oh shit, like I'm not ready for this. Like I'm not coming back anymore.
Good. You were.
I was, yeah.
And you were in the county with me.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Dave was trying to start a riot in the county. Sounds about right. And I'm probably one that told him to do it.
Yeah, well, I got the word from Jesse.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
He knew that I would do it, and I liked it. No, this is the thing. Look, there's one thing that just stood out to me, and it was the same thing for me, and I know it was the same thing for Jesse because we went through the juvenile system together. Now, this is the thing, right? These people, they came in. We got these open demos that came in. They would come in and we would sign up for church. Remember the church in the hall? We would sign up for
Cortina would come in.
We would sign up. We would sign up just to see these OGs come, and they'd have a big old whip, and they were very, very far removed from us. They were telling us stories about things that we couldn't identify with and we couldn't latch onto because they didn't give a description that was going to captivate us and hold our attention. But one thing was missing. They would come in and they would leave, and they would be gone. And we wanted to see them again. Sometimes never. We would see another people that would come down the line. We would see this person that would come into the church, and it was good. And I don't want to take anything away from these organizations that bring people in because they're serving a purpose. They're doing what they feel that they're supposed to be doing for the respect of religions and the faith, which is, and I agree with them. The thing is that doesn't reach everybody. I went to church because I wanted to get out of my cell. I was a 15-year-old kid living in a cell.
Right.
16-year-old kid living
in a cell. You go to church,
cell.
you get to see the girl.
I get to, you got to see the bang. Yeah, that's it. I wanted to see people that I wanted to get to. I wanted to bang on people, throw gang signs. I wanted to walk around, look cool. I wanted to sag my big old juvenile hall hat. I wanted to look different. I wanted to put the chains on me so I get to show all hard, wearing my bright gold shirt. You know what I mean? And it's just different. I wanted to. I was putting off an image, but I wasn't listening to the message. Yeah, when the guy came in, he's like, "Hey, I just did 4." I'll never forget. I just did 40 years. Well, I can't understand that concept. This guy looked like an old man. He could barely speak, and he was trying to preach the word of God to me, which was good, and I give that guy his respect, man, because that must have been very difficult for him, and he was there for the right reasons. The problem is that the approach was wrong. We need people like us to be in their lives daily. We need to work in those institutions. We need to work in juvenile hall. We need to work in those camps. We need to work in those places. We need to work in those rehab centers, and we have to be consistent. Yeah. Because those kids got a short attention span.
Yep. And to piggyback off what Dave says, I can tell you, I don't know where you were at that point in your life, James, but I can honestly say because fortunately for me, some of those pinteros that came in were actually the fathers of my homeboys. Some of them dudes, Cleo came in, and Ramon, and a couple of the guys that came in. Like, these were the dudes who I grew up with. These were their fathers, and we knew they were in prison their whole life. We used to get the prison art, and we get the prison cups, the tumblers, tatted up, and all those things from their dad. And we used to take them to school and show them off. Like, that was our claim to fame. And so when them vatos showed up in the church and that stuff, like, for the first hour or two walking out of there, I myself and several of the homies would be like, "Oh man, I'm gonna do good. I'm gonna do good." But exactly what you said, Dave. The reality of it is they leave, the mystique of them being there wears off, because you remember the Gideon guy used to come all the time, the old man, white Gideon guy, and he was an old man. He never lived this life. He was a missionary and evangelist, and so when he would come, it was like, okay, cool, but what does he know about the life I live in the neighborhood? What does he know about my struggle and what I've been through? What does he know about drug addict parents and gangs and violence and just domestic violence and just poverty? And what does he know? And those are all things, even though that's not how we were processing it. One thing we were like, man, this vato don't understand us. But when the Pintero would come in, it's like, okay, man, I know where he comes from because I've slept in his house. His son is my best friend, or his son is from my barrio, or this or that, and so it kind of, it's kind of like Steve, the one that runs the Victory Outreach. Same thing with him when he used to come in there. That was my homeboy Rebel's dad. We're like, oh, see, that's the homie's dad. Yep. So, but we would hear what they have to say because they looked like us, because they had the tattoos. We know they were gay. They'd tell you straight up, man. I sat in those very same seats as you guys right before I spent 25 years in prison. Right before I went to YA. Right before and we're like, man, well, that's where we're going. So we stop for a minute. We'll hear them out. Okay, well, let's hear what the good news is, because, of course, most of them were talking the Bible. Yep. But, again, when we walk out of that chow hall and we get back to the unit, we're still faced with a bunch of other emotional kids, and it lasts for all of about an hour. So if there was some consistency, you know what I mean? If there was something like exactly like you said, what we're trying to bring into it, and they realize now, they know the science works. They know what's going on. That's why there's so many organizations that are predominantly justice system impacted, you know?
Could you imagine though?
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
So when we were kids in the halls, you know, where most of this all started, because we didn't like, some kids did, well, no, even when you go to Y, you're going to start in the halls, you know. And the thing is, so we're fighting and we're trying to establish ourselves in the halls. And it's usually because some kid put us up to it or something like that. But we're doing it because we want to belong. We want to feel safe. We want to feel accepted. So when we fight, right, where do we go after that? We end up in TGR. I don't know what it's called now, but TGR stood for temporary group removal. And it's just like, you know, they isolate us in a single cell, and we're stuck there for a period of time. Well, that was misery for me when I would be in TGR, but I would do it because I knew that the reward would be acceptance after that. So I was willing to subject myself to that. And there's no interaction with staff at that time.
No.
When you're in TGR, they're just, I mean, remember, we're young kids. Yeah, they're going to bring your consequences, but we're young kids. These are kids that are 14, 15, 16. Jesse was, what were you when you went to the halls for the first time?
12.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to 10, and then they kicked me out, but I actually did time in there at 12.
Yeah, when Jesse was so young, he had to be in the unit where they had the girls. Yeah, they had the girls at, which was Unit 1 at that time.
It was a blessing. That's why I kept coming back.
Yeah, yeah. And so, not me. I'm in Unit 2 looking at the kids that are with the girls, and I'm just like, damn, those little bastards, you know.
Those lucky little
should have started earlier. You know, but I'm sitting there in my little cell. They don't give us no pencil. They don't give us nothing, man. We got nothing. They give us a Bible, you know, and that's it at the most. But you're lucky when you even get one of those. You know, mostly you're just circling the cell, walking around, you know, and there's nothing to do. You're pacing, you're stressing. We used to beat on the doors and all that. But imagine just the first night you got into a fight, right? Imagine if that person that came, that role model, somebody like Cleo, because I know Cleo very well, but imagine if that person was to open the door and come in the cell and have a conversation with you. And be involved in your life in the halls.
And be able to help you articulate what it is you're feeling, what it is you're thinking.
Absolutely.
Start to get you to understand the things that shaped why you believe what you believe, why you thought it was important to attack that kid in the day room, why you thought that these dudes making fun on the left or the right of you was cause.
And to be there, though, when it's happening, because most of us, when we fight, it's instigated by another kid. I've sat there at those seats, and I'll be sitting there, and I was afraid, but I've had kids, you know, that, like when I got to Riverside Halls, right? I'm sitting there, and we can't even move. We got to sit on that. We got to sit on the perfect bench. We got to keep our hands in our lap or folded in our lap, and we got to look straight ahead. You know, they're either on our knees or they're folded in our lap. You know, whatever.
Yeah, if they're folding in your lap, that's what they call relaxed bench.
Yep.
But if they say perfect bench, you got to sit erect.
Your back has to be erect, straight up,
looking straight ahead with your knees, your hands flat on your knees. And you could sit like that for hours.
And there's a dude, and it's crazy because this is all happening. You're in a row, but it's kind of like in an L. So we're all sitting up on one side, and then there's another side that's an L, and there's kids over there. So we're supposed to look straight ahead, but as soon as a staff member gets up and they kind of pace around and they look at us, they talk shit to some of us, they tell us, hey, sit up straight. But right behind him, there's another kid, and as soon as a guy turns around, he's throwing up a gang sign at you. So now that's a challenge. Everybody sees it, you know. So I'm coming from a different juvenile hall, and this kid's throwing up a gang sign at me, and I'm looking at him like, damn, you know, like I just seen that everybody sees it. So as soon as a dude walks off, I bang on him and I throw up a gang sign, you know. So now people are kind of like just looking, but it's all crazy because now there's a lot of expressions, there's a lot of like hand gestures. But see, the thing is that this is all happening behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden,
le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
They wonder. Eventually, it's kind of like, if you don't get up and do something because you were challenged, so then I have to get up and attack that kid. That kid's got to get up and he's got to fight back. Sometimes his homies will jump in, sometimes my homies will jump in, sometimes both homies jump in, and it's all bad. But the fact of the matter is, there's nobody there that understands what's going on. You see them kids at the bench, be like, hey man, why you got these kids sitting like this? You know, don't you see this kid freaking banging on this other kid? Hey, come here, man. Why are you throwing up gang signs at him? Come on, come over here. What's going on with you? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's different because people don't understand what's going on. All this was going on behind this dude's back, and he had no idea that this was happening. Yep, we know what to look for because guess what? We were those kids on those benches.
Right. And all they're thinking is discipline. The staff are thinking discipline. Not to take anything away from what they came up in a different time. It's just like prison culture changing. The juvenile justice system is changing as well. But they need people. You don't need simply doctors and therapists.
This call is now being recorded.
Usted tiene una llamada propagada de
Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga una hora y 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Link.
James. James, you with us? Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I don't know, James.
Hello? Hello?
I think we should just go on we should just
tangent?
Yeah, we should just go on a tangent right now, James, till James pops up. He pops up like a little gopher out of the hole. Hey, all right, I'm here.
This just in breaking news from James.
Damn.
Well, just in case you can hear. Hello? Can you hear me now? Breaker, man.
We're gonna go ahead and call back because we can't hear you at all.
This call is now being recorded.
Usted tiene una llamada propagada de
Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a quick call. Not be charged for this call. Para esta llamada, diga o opera ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar el código Tally.
Again? I can't hear you, Jim. The time sounds very, very bad right now, very robotic. I can't hear you at all. Hello. Give it a couple seconds, see what happens.
If it doesn't reconnect, I guess that's going to be it for tonight. If anybody can hear us, I appreciate you guys listening. Appreciate your support. At least we were able to get an hour in. Maybe we could finish this another day. We'll definitely be tuning back in on Wednesday for sure for a video call. I don't know what's going on. The system usually goes haywire around this time. And with that said,
Yeah, it's not connecting at all.
alright. You guys have a good night. Thanks for listening.
Oh, sorry guys. So man, my wife just came in. She was like, "Hey, I can't hear anything." I had. Oh man, they were calling. No wonder they couldn't hear me. I had I had the audio on. I had it on mute. Shh, I definitely trucked that one. Let me send them a message. Shit. All right, so I just sent them a message right now. Hopefully they're able to, or that they read their tablet and they read their tablet and they know exactly what happened. Maybe they'll call us back. So sometimes what I'll do is when they're talking, I'll just put a hey, how's it going to LBCK 15. Sometimes when they're talking, I'll put my microphone on mute and and um and I totally forgot. So I guess when they were calling right now, they couldn't hear me obviously because my mic was on mute. The only reason I realized, or I didn't even realize it, my wife just walked in. She was like, I can't hear you," and that's pretty much what happened. That was the issue was on obviously on my end, but I went ahead and sent them a message, and let me see. So I just sent them a message. Okay, so David just sent me a message. Hopefully, she might have turned off his tablet. Or after, let me see. Okay, so hopefully, I'm hoping they read my message and call me back. So yeah, the reason I sometimes I put my microphone on mute is due to when I move around and stuff. I have this chair, and sometimes it'll make noise and stuff. So all right, here we go. Okay.
This call is now being recorded.
David, so for this.
Un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Sentinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Link.
Hello.
Hey, so you had the audio on mute, huh? The old audio on mute.
Hey, we're still on. So we're. Hey, I straight trucked that one.
Hey, you fucking up, James.
Yeah, we heard from the listeners.
Sound off when you're done, James. I'm gonna need like 113 burpees.
Hey, they should call back. He fucked up.
Yeah.
Not GTL.
Yeah, we heard it in the background. They were like, call back, this one's on James.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, so my lady walks in, and she's like, hey, I can't hear you. And I'm like, and then I looked like, oh, shit, man, I straight dump trucked that one.
You did. You know, hey, saludos to James's lady.
Yeah.
Vato in check.
Yeah, for sure. She came in and fired a warning shot, like, don't let it happen again.
Behind every strong man, there's a strong woman who keeps her vato in check.
Yeah, behind every strong man, there's a tech lady who knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Let me find out, James. She's the brain behind the tech operation.
Yep. Yeah. She's the brain behind the brocha.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep. That's crazy. Hey, you know what's crazy is I was on the phone with my girl right now, and I could hear you in the background saying, or I don't know if it was you. Maybe it wasn't him. It was probably her friend saying, because I could hear a guy in the background. I was thinking it was you because I was thinking they had the podcast live, like on the radio. Whatever. I could hear in the background saying James is trying to get him to call back or something like that. But I was thinking it was you. Like telling the listeners, I'm trying to get the guys to call back right now.
James sent a wheeler. He sent a fishing line down the tier.
Yeah.
Hey, you see my line?
Yeah. Hey, matter of fact, you're gonna have to send a shout out to Bruce Willis because Bruce Willis is the one that sent the wheeler out this way so we can hit you back.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. So now you guys are definitely right. So when this whole when I started this whole chain of events, Bruce Willis had actually came in, and obviously I didn't get to tell you that he was in the he was in the chat, but definitely big out shout out to Bruce Willis, and he actually dropped a message on here, and he mentioned that he was talking to you, and he said that you were gonna call right back. So
Hey, so thinking what the hell? I fell asleep on my phone on mute button. So when we called you, we woke you up. So yeah, we nodded out on the mute button. So I want to send a shout out to my guy Bruce Willis and to my baby girl Lex Luke. What's up? What's happening? Willis, Bruce Willis. Lex Luke in the easy. That's it, Yeah. They're the one that told me to hit you back. So I was like, all right, cool. Hey, so what were we talking about? We were basically talking about back to the interrupted by James. Yeah, before James's mustache hit the mute button. I think I was about to beat up a kid in juvenile hall. Yeah. I think I was going to beat up a kid in juvenile hall, James. Yeah, you got to keep the leash on that push broom, bro. Yeah. That thing's got a little heavy. 15-year-old David was about to beat up a kid in the hall. No, but that's the yeah. So getting back to that subject. So that's why I think people like us are so important in helping to generate
rebuild
change
the juvenile justice system.
Absolutely, you gotta employ people like us, man. You gotta send us back in, and I mean it's a great place for us to work. You know, you can keep an eye on us. You know, as soon as we lose our temper, you can put us in timeout for a little while, put us on TGR. You know, have another mentor come and talk to us.
No, it's definitely critical to the development, because the truth about it is, most of us turn towards gangs, most of us turn towards drugs, most of us turn toward dysfunctional peers because we were looking for something. We were trying to fill a gap. We were trying to fill a hole in us, something that wasn't being met by us at home. And a lot of times it just so happened that the gang was willing to accept anything and anybody, and it didn't require much. You know, it was a bunch of other lost souls that were the same way. So if you could put people like us who have lived this life, who have sat in those very same seats, wore those very same clothes, experienced those very same traumatic experiences in life, and you can make it, we have a certain level of connectivity that no doctor, no counselor, no therapist, no, you know, staff member or probation officer or judge or you know, see, whatever it is, none of them can connect with these children in a way that those of us have, you know, and we get to show them, like, hey, this is what your life looks like if you continue on this path. And a lot of times, like I said, being able to show up in places like that and sit down with some of these youngsters and be like, and again, some they're not going to hear anything. A lot of these kids are not going to hear anything. Get out of vehicle. Right, no, for sure.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I spent years in the California Youth Authority, and I'm going to tell you right now, all that did was refine my surgery. All it did was callous my heart even more. You know what I mean? That place was truly a breeding ground for violent teenagers, and that's what it did for me. You know what I mean? I went in there and I developed. That's where the North and South thing started for me. If I was, you know, I was concerned I was a gang member from down south, and if you even left my area, you were like going to a foreign country. So my world was so small, it was isolated to this little boondock desert that I grew up in. You know what I mean? I went to the youth authority and I ended up north where there was a bunch of northerners, and I seen a bunch of crazy things, and I was involved in a bunch of crazy things. And so that was the beginning of my belief that, you know, they were a different people, and that it was the North and the South, and it was just, it primed me for prison. You know what I mean? Because then you come to prison, and it's the same thing. You know what I mean? You start developing those beliefs, like, oh, you know, my car is better than their car, this, that, and the other thing. It's the same thing with the races. You know, like how my area I grew up, there was really no other races. It was Mexicans. That's just the truth about it. You know, yeah, there was other races, but they weren't involved in the stuff we were involved in. So I didn't develop racial tendencies until I went to the youth authority. Till I got locked up, that I really was like, okay, because they you know, we isolated each other, our own races. You know, we sectioned each other off, and so you started developing that us versus them mentality. You know, and so again, the way I started seeing my race as superior to another, or another race inferior to mine, I developed those things in the California Youth Authority. So it was a breeding ground where now, if you could have people go in there, you could have blacks, whites, Mexicans, ex-gang members, ex-convicts, you know, ex-murderers, ex-drug addicts, going into these juvenile halls and truly having a level of connectivity with these youngsters and showing them, like, hey, check this out, man. Like, I know you may think that this dude is 100% different than you because his skin color is different, and you may think, well, he didn't grow up where I grew up, he doesn't know what I'm going through. But if you actually sit and look for the similarities in his story, you look to the similarities in his trauma, you have to start identifying that. It'll start to break down some of those barriers. And a lot of times, it wasn't just like, it's just coming to institutions. A lot of, you know, Hispanic cultures teach out the black teeth racism. You know, like, I know I've seen a lot of it, but it was like, well, really, like, you say, you don't forget that, yeah, but I've never seen any, I don't know, I don't care, I don't know what you're telling me about. They don't have any here. So it wasn't until I started seeing them when I was being left up, it was like, oh, okay, that's what that is. I've been eating that in my house for a long time. And then now being violent is for us. You let me they don't like my race. Well, then I don't like their race. You know, you start. So if you can get into these youth heads that are early on, and you start breaking down some of the cultural norms and some of the, you know, and give them a parallel analysis and again, be able to connect with them. You know, a lot of youngsters don't know what they're thinking, they don't know what they're feeling, they don't know what they're doing, they don't know the experiences that they've been through, how it's already beginning to shape them. And when you see a kid acting up and you see him going through some things, if you can actually tell him, hey man, check this out.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Tell me a little bit about your parents. Tell me a little bit about how you grew up. Tell me your story. And remember, they're going to tell you their story from how they see it, because we lived it and we understand it. We could begin dissect. We know how to ask the questions. Like, okay, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have told you. You would have asked me 15 years ago, I would have told you there was nothing wrong with my family.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with the way I grew up, because everybody around me grew up the same way. Like it was similar. All the crazy shit that I went through, everybody I know went through that,
Yeah.
And so, but shit, a few years ago, I was talking to my cellie about it, and I remember him saying something to me, like, well, I had it good, dog, like, I this, that, and they want me to say this, and I'm like, I said, listen to yourself, fool. I said, you grew up with your grandmother, your sisters grew up with your other grandparents. I go, both of your parents are drug addicts and gang members. How are you going to sit here and tell me that there was nothing wrong with the way you grew up? Like, listen to what you're saying, fool. You're 40 years old. I mean, you've been in prison 25 years. You're going to board in a year or in 4 months, and you believe what you're telling me right now. That just goes to show how distorted our perception of what right and wrong is, So, like I said, if we can get in there and talk to some of these youngsters, and again, let them tell us their story, and then you start cherry picking things out of them, because you can get them to understand things that they don't normally understand, and you can help start to reshape the way their paradigm, their perspective of the world. At least I believe that, because I believe that if there was somebody there, like how you said, if Cleo and them would have showed up on a consistent basis, mind you, all they had back then was religion. That was the only thing they could give us. Well, now there's cognitive therapy. Now there's things that people can truly use to reshape you guys. I can say, hey, God can change your life. 100% He can. However, let me tell you, these are the things that you've been through. These are the things, and you may not understand that, but this is why you feel this way. This is why you believe this way. And understand that your behavior is a direct result of this, that. And then what you do is you build them a vehicle. You show them how smart some of these guys are. They got us. I realize how smart we are to we're in our late 30s, early 40s. We're applying ourselves to these degrees and stuff. Like, some of these look at me like, you fools, like, some of you guys are just like naturally intelligent, but we never really know because we allowed ourselves to play.
That dude's so wrong all the time.
Yeah. So last year, get some of the kids had something like, I recognize you, I accept you, I'll give you a level of camaraderie, like, because that's what we were looking for when we joined the gang. So if you give them that at a young age, but you give them something else, pro-social, education, some sports, certain things, but it has to be consistent. It can't just be showing up there trying to help, and I'm here today, I'm done tomorrow, because you got to remember, they go back to life. Life in their house doesn't change. And so if there isn't something more consistent, and I believe that's where my program's going to come into play.
And what's crazy is that one of the guys we talk about, I'm not going to say who it is. Okay, so yeah, it's somebody that we know, somebody we mentioned before, right? He was one of those guys, one of those mentors. Went in there, he became a Christian. Well, this dude was bona fide. This dude was from a straight freaking crazy ass family that they were gunners. They were freaking affiliated with the prison gang members at the highest level. And so Jesse's asking me, who was it?
Yeah, who? I need to know. Who is it?
For the sake of
names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Yeah. So anyway, Yeah. So anyway, this guy, right? He's bona fide. His family was very, very known, affiliated, at the highest levels. But
and his son was my best friend.
Yeah. He took a path. Yeah, Jesse knows who he is now. He took a path though, of doing what was right, going into juvenile halls and talking to us and whatnot, right? So anyway, years later, he took a turn in his recovery.
They killed his brother.
Yeah, he took a turn, and he kind of went. When that happened, he went back to what he had left. Well, he was so involved though that there was a lot of people very upset with him
when he stepped away the first
time. So it was crazy that I liked him. He was an OG. I liked him a lot, and it turned out that he rolled up into this spot, and I had the yard. I had the yard at that time. and I was in charge. I was directly affiliated. I was doing what I was doing, right? So when I had the yard, I went around and I sent out I started gathering who was doing what, who was in what buildings and stuff like that, and I was looking for some assistance, in the other buildings. And this dude responded.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
This dude responded, and he's like, I'm involved, and this is who I am. And I let him know. I said, we're back. I don't know who you are. Yeah, so you want to get involved? Go ahead. Well, I wasn't really tripping on, on his history. Well, I sent his name up to the fellas, and yeah, it came back bad, man. And I know it didn't end well for him, But I was thinking about that guy, I wonder like that, that story. It's gonna cut off right now. Oh yeah, it's gonna cut off. I'm gonna call you back. Hold on.
All right.
Say it, Jeff.
Yeah. I made sure.
Say it, Jeff. No, we'll be right back. We'll be right back.
All right. So I went ahead and made sure that I didn't have the button on mute again. Definitely didn't want to make that mistake second time on the stream. So but anyhow, so we're waiting for Jesse and David to give us a call back. I know the audio is not ideal right now. It's a bit off. But I mean, once again, that's what happens with GTL. They're making hand over fist over here. With these with a blank check with from the state of California.
This call is now being recorded.
Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello.
James.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was just a little side story. I know Fisker SoCal. He likes a little side stories, So yeah, this was a crazy one, right? Yeah. So anyway, I'm in a position of power. I'm directly linked up, So everything that I do, I make sure that I turn over to the proper people, to the gang leaders, And because I just want to make sure all my avenues are covered, And I run makes on everybody that I don't know. I mean, even if I know them, I'll still there's no reason, the dudes that I know that are involved, there's no reason why. They know what it is. They know, okay, well, you can send their name up, but I want them represented. I want, if it was my boy Jess or somebody that was involved, I'd have been like, oh, well, boom, this is the team right here. So that's just how you represent in that aspect. Let them know who your crew is. And so I sent his name up. This is who it is. This guy's stepping up right here, and boom, pushed it on, and yeah, it came back with a red flag, and it was crazy because it came back right away too, and it came back from a whole other yard, and they were like, yeah, word came out, boom, and it was just like, get the clavo together, we're gonna send some hitters, we're gonna make sure that you got everything ready, and then I was like, because this is a lot to process. Remember, this is somebody that we all look up to. And I'm thinking, fuck, in my head I'm mad at him. I'm like, why? You can, everybody checks in on rosters. But those rosters, man, they get lost in the fold sometimes. It's a lot of names and stuff like that. It's easy to overlook somebody when you're dealing with a roster of freaking, 400 names on the yard, and they're coming in constantly and stuff.
The closer your name was to the fire, though, the bigger you were, and the closer you were to the fire, the quicker it is you're going to check out. Those are the people whose names don't get looked over on the list, and that's what it was with him.
He rang a bell though, but I sent two lists though. I sent them the list of people who were there, and then I sent them the list of people that were
going to assist,
involved in leadership, and that were going to assist me. And that.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
That's a list of 6 names. I got me, and I got the mesa that I set up, the quote-unquote mesa, right? The me and 2 other guys that I basically put in place.
The medium, the mean, and the mode?
Yeah. Yeah, I put the 2 guys there so that I can basically just, have my run-of-the-mill,
That was a statistics play, guys, just so you guys know. Yeah. I'm doing statistics right now. Yep. It just felt like it was supposed to go there.
Yeah, the building the building that I was in, I also ran, and then there was 4 other buildings, and so that's 4 other names. So it's not that many names, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names, and then a list of a couple hundred. So the 7 names, boom, that got checked fast. That's who they're more interested in first. They're gonna go over those names. His name would have popped out anyway. You know, it was a very, very well-known name. You know, and yeah, so it came back like, hey, this dude's we got unfinished business with him. Just basically, we're gonna send this, get the hitters together, and that's that. You know, and I was like, fuck. So I didn't know. I was really upset with them, and I was hurt because I was like, damn, you know, why would you put yourself out there like that? And basically just, you know, here I am, come finish what we, come get this, you know,
come finish.
And some of the moments are crazy too, though. You know, we're just like, all right, well, now or never, you know. And so, and there was dudes back there, you know, that was a reception ad seg, you know, so there's a lot of dudes back there. There was dudes that were members, you know, and so anyway, it was crazy because right when that happened, I had talked to two other dudes that were on my mesa, you know, and I had told them what came through. One of them was his homie. Grew up with them for a long time, knew him real well, and I showed him the word, you know, and he was like, oh my God, you know. And then it's crazy, Jess, is they hit me with a transpac bag. They said, your bus is here. We're sending you to Soledad. That was before I left to Soledad, and I told him, hey man, he could be you right now.
Yeah,
you know, and I never asked what happened when I left.
Yeah,
because I didn't want to know.
And it's funny because he got that same pass for a long time for me in the county.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I had a run in with, you know, as you know, when he got his life case, when he came in and got his life case.
The life case.
But okay, so with that said, let's. So where do you think that leaves us? Because the reality of it is, I mean, you and I both know that you know what I mean, like our name, it'd be the same situation, you and I, you know what I mean. So where do you think that would bring us down? How does that sway you one way or the other when it comes time to doing what we got to do? Remember, this all started with, he was the guy who came in, one of the many pinteros who came into juvenile hall and tried to deliver a message, religious as it was delivering a positive message, right?
Yeah.
And remember, that's how he stepped away from the prison gang, because he turned Christian.
Yeah. Exactly.
Remember that.
Yep,
you know what I mean? That was the only way out back then. You know what I mean? Now we're able to do it a different way, you know, but to go out backwards. But back then, you had to turn Christian.
Yeah.
So okay, given the fact that we stepped away the way that we have in a bad light, you know what I mean?
He was still an example to me in a lot of ways. You know, for one is what happened with his brother, because his brother got killed, and what happened with him.
His brother's crime, he's right here.
Yeah,
that's his
we
birthday.
He was
actually yesterday.
Yeah, he was just actually at the door right now.
Yeah, he was just at the door. That's my old celly.
Yeah. So trip on this is, no matter what happens, people are going to die out there. Bad things are going to happen. But that showed me that we have to be in a position to where it doesn't give us an excuse to spiral.
Exactly.
It doesn't give us an excuse to hurt people. It doesn't give us an excuse, because I could still come in here, back out there. I could get locked up. I could come in here and I could head right back up to the 180s and start fucking running them up and doing all this shit, you know. But the fact of the matter is, right, is we have to be able to identify the problem, and we have to teach kids how to start navigating those situations. Okay, what happens? You get out, right? Somebody that was real close to us, he ends up dying to get killed by an enemy. So what is it? Now it's time to pick up a gun and go shoot the enemies? No, you can't. You know, because there's never going to be an excuse to commit violent acts again. There's not. No matter. There's always going to be a reason. You know, and I think about him, this guy, you know, the guy I told you about. I think about him often. You know, I think, damn, I wonder where he's at. He's got to be locked up by now. I'm surprised. He's probably close to dying. You know, because that dude was old.
Yeah. Last I heard, he was in Corcoran shoe, but he had gotten kicked out to the yard over there in Corcoran a few years back.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because that just goes to show how some of them old war horses are built. You know, because when he came through the county, and mind you, this is somebody who I aspired to be like, and now his time is past, and it's me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in the position that he once was, and at the time I was in total control of everything, and I explained it to him, you know, like, look, dog, the reality is the same way I gave you the heads up, I gave him the heads up, you know, and I told him, look, you can slip and slide through here all you want, you know what I mean? I'm not going to pull the trigger on you, you know what I mean? Because you're, you know, old boy's dad. I've respected you. I've respected your family, you know what I mean? Like, I used to sleep in his wife's house with his son and his daughter, you know, like I grew up with his kids, you know, and it just so happens now, you know, I'm living the life I'm traveling down the road that he once paved, you know. And so I told him straight up, I said, look, dog, you know what I mean? Like, your best bet is to just sit back and just kick it. You know what I mean? Like, because he was doing, but dudes like that, they have enough sense to say, I need to make myself relevant in hopes of doing preventive measures. But you know, he wasn't dealing with Willie Lump Lump, so I explained it to him like, look, dog, you're gonna put yourself in a situation where you're gonna force my hand. So your best bet is just kick back right there in the tank, surround yourself with people that you can trust, and just lay low, fight your case, and take off, because I don't want to hear your name. You know, like I because if it gets to the point to where somebody up there ends up getting back at me, and you force my hand, then I'm gonna have to deal with this. I'll let you deal with it when you get up there with the brothers, and you could just deal with that. On you know what I mean? And he respected it. You know what I mean? He was like, all right, cool. You know, just and he kind of like fell back into his. You know, he was reading the Bible and doing his little thing again.
Yeah,
but
he went right upstate and got in my mix, you know, as best man. You know, like I was directly involved.
Yeah.
His name went right to a member.
Yeah.
Several of them.
Sucks to be him.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, you know, you know, I did what I was supposed to do. I didn't think otherwise because I never asked him his situation. I assumed in my head, if you're in one of them tanks, right, you're in an active tank, you're doing those things, you're kind of, you know, he was like putting his 2 cents into the tank. I was in tank 5 with them over there, you know, radio. He was kind of the guy there. Yeah, you know, and I was there with them, but he seemed fine when he came upstate. He was in an active building. He was, you know, he wasn't in one of the JCAP buildings or one of like, you know, no, he was actually there visible in a real
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
So I never thought to ask. You were very discreet about it. A lot of people that knew him didn't put his business out there. Yeah. You know, so it wasn't circulating like that. Whoever knew, whoever didn't. I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't think twice about it. I didn't understand the dynamics at the time because I just wasn't asking those questions because I didn't need to. Yeah. You know, but the fact of the matter is yeah, it's sad how that ended up with that guy, you know, and that's never going to be us, Jess, you know.
Okay, so again, back to the context of the conversation. So how does that influence you in any way, right? To go back and be that voice. Like I said, we're taking a different message. We're not going back in. We're not going to try to help, you know, shape some of these dudes' minds through religion. We're going to go back and we're going to try to help.
It does, and that's one of the major things that stood out to me. I don't want to bring the message of religion into my work. I try to be neutral across the board about my religious affiliation. I mean, as far as with the listeners and people even in here, I understand. I'm supportive of people's religious beliefs and differences, 100% across the board. But I don't feel like it's not a one size fits all for everybody. I want to go in there and I want to deal with different walks of life, different types of kids, different types of adults, people from religious backgrounds, and I understand that I'll have knowledge about maybe their beliefs, and maybe if I know somebody that's more aligned with them or, you know, something like that, I can bring them over and be like, hey, maybe you guys need to pair them up. Maybe you guys need to have a conversation, you know, and stuff like that. But I don't want people's recovery based solely on religion, because guess what, Jess? People's faith gets shook all the time.
Absolutely.
You might have something in your life and that's going to happen, and if your entire recovery is based on your relationship with Jesus, your relationship with Allah, your relationship with, you know, with with Jehovah, with
Buddha, whatever.
Yeah, you know, Adonai, you know, with Judaism, but something happens and you're like, why God? How could you let this happen? Guess what? What do you got to fall back on?
Your addiction. You know what has worked for you time and time again.
Yeah.
As far as what you believe works for you.
And people look, and the problem is look, this is the thing. People they reestablish their faith in other ways, but that's not what we're working on right now. We're working on trying to help people get through that initial shock and response. Period.
And show them that there's other options. Yep. You know, show them that the choices they've made so far are not as definitive as they may believe.
Exactly, because
I know if you would, like how James asked us a while ago, did you know when you joined the gang? When I joined the gang at 12 years old, 100% I knew within the first year that I would never turn my back on that gang. I knew that that was who I was going to be for the rest of my life, because for once in my life, I felt like I mattered. I felt like I was important. I felt like I had an identity. I felt like I belonged. And I was going to foster that, and I was going to water that for the rest of my life, and that's what I did, all the way up until I threw in the towel. And even then, I came over here, and I still lived like a gangster for a few years, until I came to the realization that that I was living an illusion, that I was the biggest problem around me.
So I think that's important, and that's kind of what I wanted to reach on that as far as that individual goes and stuff like that, because his message was religiously based. But the moment of terrible happened to him, his spirituality was questioned and faith was in question, and he went back to what he knew. He happened to what he knew. He happened to be, happened to go to that was actually was connected at that time, and that's sometimes people slip through the cracks and whatnot, but he fell right into the board's nets, and it was messed up. When I think about how often I learned from it, I want to just make sure that the first time something bad happens, that's horrible, or it might not even be that horrible, but it's all in another perspective. It's horrible to me, might not be horrible to you, and other people, but I want to make sure when something happens and they don't know how to deal with it, and the faith is put to the test, faith gets put in question, they're not saying what about it. The they're doing it and realizing their own skills. They're going through their masturbation plan. They're utilizing the positive support.
Le quedan restante 60 segundos.
Just like we do here. And that's what I would like to message that I want to, teach kids. And so kids, when they drink sauce, there's no turning them away.
Okay, so again, I've asked this question a few times, but I think it's missing the mark, right? And I only ask this because we come from such a small area, right? And kind of cut off, I'm going to call back right now. We can do it.
All right, we'll be here. We'll be waiting. All right, and I just saw Iceman. The Iceman is in the chat. That's right. Did you have to work today, Iceman, or were you off? Were you out and about? So right now we're just waiting for Jesse and David to call back. The audio, as you can see, it sounds it's a bit off, but hopefully when they call back right now, it it gets back to its normal the normal quality that we're used to when GTO is not having any issues. But we'll see right now when we reconnect with them right now. And right now, that question about religion, I'll ask them right now what religion they are. All right.
This call is now being recorded.
Un individuo encarcelado de la prisión estatal de Sentinela, Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have contact call. You will not be charged for this call. Para hacer esta llamada, diga la primera hora de 5. Gracias por usar Google Handling.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Because it was a little died.
Yeah. So right now, you know what? On this last call, right now, it wasn't sounding too good. It was pretty off. Yes, it was sounding pretty robotic.
Okay. We're gonna lose Nancy right now, but let's make this one our last call anyway because it's pretty messed up.
I got to go to the yard right now because we're running a CGA meeting out there. We're actually going to go out there and run the 12 step today, and it's all about self-service. So I'm going to go help you guys understand how important it is for our recovery to give back to the community and to understand that, what it means to be selfless versus the selfish lifestyle that we've been for so long. And basically,
Did you hear us, James?
Yeah. So you guys got a CGA meeting, and you guys got to go and help out the
I'm gonna
right there.
Yeah, David's staying in. David's staying in because you got to run tournaments.
I gotta run the tournaments in the building, so I'm gonna go to day room at 7. So you can have me for a little bit longer. We're gonna lose Jess, but I'm gonna answer Jesse's question. Yeah, Let me answer Jesse's question while he's here.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Go ahead, James. Go ahead.
It's not it's not Dungeon and Dragons tournaments, is it, David?
No, it's pinochle poker. I mean, pinochle spades, dominoes, chess.
Standard prison shit, you know, pinochle,
chess,
dominoes, yeah.
Madness.
So, yeah, it's for rally burgers. We do it every season. Every time there's a spring break or one of the big holidays where they shut down education, there's a lot of people on the yard. Because there's nothing running, so they try to run tournaments to keep the people occupied, basically.
All right.
Yeah.
So with that said, the question I was asking Dave was, given the fact that man's life came full circle and ended up biting him in the ass and almost got him murdered, you know, because he made the choice to step away from the prison gang and you know, turn, you know, Christian, and ultimately was delivering the good news at one point in time to youngsters. Does that discourage you, given the fact that we were both prison gang affiliates at one time, and our names, you know, rang strong in the prison culture and in the streets, and in the same communities, that we're going to go back and deliver a message, though it's not religious, it's a message, it's a pro-social message. Does that discourage you? Does that worry you? Does it give you cause or pause, you know, for a fear or anything, you know?
Oh, part of it scares me to death. I'm gonna be honest with you. Especially I would prefer not to do it in the area that I left.
Right.
You know, I think that it should happen in our area, but I think that my direct area, I was very known out there, and I think that it's better to do it in a place. I wouldn't mind going by an institution, you know, or something like that in doing it, but I think that the place that I work is not going to be directly in the area that I was involved with my criminal, like I was organized crime. I would prefer not to do it right there, and that would be absolutely terrifying. Because I know that at the end of the day, I don't play with guns no more. That safety and security net that I had, which was my violent maniac behavior, is no longer relevant. And so I just have to keep in mind, hey, I know it's out there. And so, yeah, it scares me. But
I think that's valid, and I'd be lying, or you know, if I said that I didn't worry about it, or there wasn't a certain level of fear in me. I feel that I owe it to the community that I destroyed and that I wreaked so much havoc on to make some effort, you know. And I believe that's where my program is going to come into play, whether or not I'm directly, you know, in touch with the individuals, or I bring people from a different area out here. But it's definitely a worry. But I should be mindful of this, that for so long I didn't care. I lived recklessly. I was living a suicidal lifestyle. You know, every moment of the life I lived was deadly and dangerous. You know, I could. So the fact that I didn't care then, I'm not going to start caring now. You know, I'm not going to be. You know, so. I got to go, though. I got to go. I'm going to yard. Thank you guys for this. I'm going to go run this meeting.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Hey, all right. Hey, thank you, Jesse. Highly appreciated.
Yep. He said highly appreciated, Jess. See, now he's late like always, so he's flashing the light because they just passed by. So, but, yeah, the cops, they passed by, and there we go. All right. Huh?
I didn't even see him pass by.
See, he didn't even see him pass by. See, that's why we're in prison. He didn't see the popo. Yep. Yeah, so that's what it. Yeah, but that's what it is. It's a terrifying question that he asked, you know, because yeah, we're combating gang violence and gangs in a sense, but we're doing it in a different way. We're trying to fix the problem at the root. You know, as far as the people who, unfortunately, James, there's some people that are pretty far gone, man, and we're not gonna even get close. We're not gonna even get close to saving everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to saving people,
that's the winner gear right there, Jess.
It's the people that are looking for it. Or I mean, there's some people that are just stuck in their beliefs, and nothing you're gonna tell them is gonna change their mind.
Yeah, that's it. You know, and there's some kids out there that have killed a lot of people. They're young, you know, and those kids, I mean, they're gonna be in the system for murders and stuff like that. And unfortunately, we have to know when the system has to stay in course. You know, we can still get them involved in certain programs and whatnot, but there's a certain element that we have to be able to recognize. Hey, maybe I'm not saying they're gone for good, but I'm just saying that these kids are not reachable right now. But we need to. But I'm not saying isolate them, put them in solitary confinement, do all that other stuff. But there has to be more of an intense program worked out for those kinds of kids. I was not that bad. I mean, I was a bad kid, but I wasn't a kid killer. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of kids. I knew a lot of them that were, though. I was in the juvenile system with a lot of kids that were already there for murders, several murders. I ended up taking that path when I got more enculturated with the prison gangs, and that made me that helped develop my violent my violent personality. So it's a little bit different. But those kids, there's some kids in there, man. They're some crazy little bastards, man. I'll tell you right now.
Hey, let me ask you something, David. Right now that you mentioned,
Yeah.
that you weren't a child killer. Uh,
Yeah.
did you just like wake up one day and you were like, and you thought to yourself that you were ready to take somebody's life, or how did that work? In your mind, when you got to that point.
Can you hear me? Because you were going out right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I think, well, when I came out after my first term from prison, and I had actually put in work in here and spent time in solitary confinement, and I just felt like I was different when I got out. I felt like I was a predator, and I knew after that point that I could kill,
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Yeah, so I want to say probably around 21 years old. I was still young, but I knew that at that point in time that I would do anything, including murder, to represent the prison gang that I was affiliated with, 100%. Well, no doubt. I was basically just a ticking time bomb at that time, waiting for. I wasn't. See, the difference between me and a lot of other people is I didn't go out looking for people to steal. That wasn't my thing. I waited. I was more like I waited for a situation to present itself where I can show that I was going to do that. And that was that's how I was. Because a part of me, I had about my humanity that where I was just like, well, I want to go, cruise around and hunting for motherfuckers and hunting for enemies and stuff. I wasn't like that. I wasn't like that till later. And so at that time, when I had made that decision, I was kind of like, well, anybody comes up, anybody runs up, and that's it on the way out. It's going to be that. I armed myself. I made sure that. I always make sure I had a gun on me. I made sure that, I was just looking for a situation, for any reason, and yeah, after I was 21 years old.
Thank you for answering that. The audio is
Yeah.
really is really starting to take a turn for the worse. It doesn't seem like it's getting any better, but hopefully you could hear me on your end over there. And ultimately, when you did take somebody's life, did you know what you had done at that time? Like the impact that you had on either the community, somebody's family, somebody's parents, kids, and whatnot. Or how long did it take you for you to realize the impact you had on a family or somebody when you took their life?
Well, not for a while, honestly. I didn't right away that I had. I didn't right away that what I had done was final. And I felt guilt, but as far as everything else, like I didn't really comprehend what I had done to the family or to the community. For years later, after I had gone to court and I had listened to the victim impact statement, and I made sure that I was pretty high, and I pretty much blocked everything out, But it took me years to really feel what I had done. It's not something that a lot of I was extremely callous at the time. I was a callous person, so I wouldn't allow myself to I didn't value human life. I didn't think about it. Is what it was. But once it came, hit me like a floodgate. That fucked me up pretty bad. Like when it hit me. Comes when it comes.
All right. So right now, yeah, no, that the audio is just really it's horrible right now. Yeah, we I couldn't really make out too much of what you were.
So, well, we'll go ahead and cut that. We'll go ahead and cut that right out the end. So
Okay.
we don't let everybody crazy with the audio. And then we'll go ahead and wrap this up and we'll touch base with the best thing in the week. All right, hopefully this is everything. I give you a lot of respect and thank you for everything, man. Thank you to all the listeners. On behalf of Lindsay and I, thank you for everything, man. Talk to you later.
All right, thank you, highly appreciate it. So I want to go ahead and thank everybody that was here, that wrote it out with us, through the all the hiccups we had, from the audio to me having the microphone on mute and whatnot. So I want to go and give a shout out to Chubby Jessica, to Elias Man, Fish Slayer SoCal, LBCK15, LA Analyst, Bruce Willis, and I think that was it. That was everybody that participated in the chat today. But hey, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to all of you guys. I know you guys could definitely be doing other things on on this Sunday evening and whatnot. But like I say around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out. And with that, we are out of here. And you guys go ahead and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I know I'm gonna have to go ahead and jump on the couch right now and watch some Netflix with my wife. Um, well, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys, and we'll, you'll be hearing from us shortly.